So we shall start just a couple of lines above. Line begins with the word shêhachitzoniut. Gilui is only chitzoniut. Chitzoniut is only ha'ora. However, as we pointed out, ha'ora meha pnimius. Okay, this is where we're going to start. We have it. Chitzoniut here like ha'ora, levad meha pnimius. Chitzoniut is only ha'ora, but it's a ha'ora of the pnimius. So that chitzoniut has a ha'ora of the pnimius, has an aspect. It functions along the principles of the pnimius. Because in fact it's a reflection of the pnimius. We gave various mashalim yesterday. Spent a lot of effort and time yesterday on this. V'hainu, okay, towards the middle of that line. V'hainu, to put it straight out, bluntly, so to speak. Shehapnimi is he atzmis. The pnimis is atzmis. Atzmis means it's an essence. It's an essential entity. Essential does not mean important. Essential means it is self-contained. It has an essence.
And this line is starting with what word?
Shêhachitzoniut in ha'ora.
Okay.
Yeah. V'hainu, which means to say, the Rebbe says, shehapnimi is he atzmis. The pnimis is atzmis. Chitzoniut is only ha'ora of the pnimis. What is the pnimis? Pnimis is atzmis. Atzmis means self-made. It does not allude to any source. It speaks exclusively of itself because it itself is a reality. Etzem. V'chitzoniut eino atzmis. The chitzoniut is not atzmis. Chitzoniut is not a self-contained truth. It's a functional level. However, yet still, who's hapnimius? It is allusive to the pnimius. It is of a similar mehus. It represents the truth of the pnimius, although on the chitzoniut level. All this we discussed yesterday quite extensively at Mashonim and all that. As in the case of pnimi sechel, the internals of the sechel. Internals of the sechel means the sechel part, the part of the sechel that cannot be expressed, cannot be stated, cannot be shown. It is internal to the sechel itself. Shehu la'atzmi, which is only meant for the possessor of the sechel, for himself. This cannot be presented to anyone else. Cannot be presented externally. The chitzoniut sechel encounters the chitzoniut sechel. Hashayach al hamkabe, which does belong, so to speak, that can relate to the makabe. That's a chitzoniut. What is so different in Chenis HaSeichel versus the pnimi? Chenis HaSeichel is shayach l'makaber, meaning Chenis HaSeichel has a means to be presented. It has a keli. It has a structure. This is shayach l'makaber. That belongs to shayach. It can relate to the makaber because it is presentable. This is where we're up to yesterday. Now we're still basically in the same principle, but in a different arena. Ukmoi kain in the parentheses. Ukmoi kain. And similarly, likewise, atzmius ha-meichin, the essence, the meichin, the etzem of the meichin, the essence of the meichin, v'ha-moichin ha-shayochin al-hamidus. In contrast, or at the second level, is the moichin ha-shayochin al-hamidus, meichin that belong and that can relate to midus. Shin is boy liyil perik l'nhei, which was explained earlier. Let's just continue and then we'll go back. Shezeh atzmi, v'zeh ei lo yatzmi. Atzmi is ha-meichin, the essence of the sechel is atzmi. Atzmi means it is self-contained, it is self-justifying. Does not require any proof. It is proving itself. Ze atzmi. V'zeh, and sechel ha-shaychel ha-midas, ein lo yatzmi, is not an atzmi. It does not stand on its own. It has a function. It is there because it wants to make a point with midas. Atzmi is not there for any particular reason. It is there because of what it is. It is there in order to create the midas. In order to translate in midas. Before we go on, I just want to reiterate and call our attention for what the Rebbe says, that mochin and sechel is an atzmi element. The way that we can present it, so to speak, and show what it means, an atzmi element.
To remain on this call, press 1.
The atzmi element is extremely important because this is the identity of a human being. This is what distinguishes a human being from every other creature in the world. The fact that the human being sees the world and differently than every other creature, and the fact that he treats everything in the world completely differently than every other creature, is not a calculated mode. This is a human being. If he behaves according to sechel, we say he behaves like a human being, not that he behaves smartly. He behaves like a human being. Because sechel, the human being, is atzmi. In mochin itself, there is the atzma mochin and mochin hashachar amidas. We just finished saying that the human being sees things, understands things, identifies things like a human being. As a result of that, he will also behave and relate to these things in a certain special way. That's already the midas aspect of the sechel. The sechel is what he understands, what he sees. Midas is the resultant mode of behavior. The first level, how he sees things, is atzmi. How that reflects in behavior is not an atzmi. Anything valuable, let's say a piece of crystal. It means not crystal because crystal really has to be treated in with kid gloves. A crystal vase is appreciated. Typically, a crystal vase will stand in the middle of the table to decorate and to bring a spirit to the table. Along with that, one will carry this crystal vase in a very special way. He will show deference to it. This deference is not part of the sechel. This is the midas. Because the crystal vase cannot be insulted by putting it in the wrong shelf. If you treat it, if you are not careful in breaking it, of course you can break it. But in terms of deference, of respect to the crystal vase is insignificant.
What's insignificant in respect? I didn't understand this sentence.
To show respect, deference for the crystal vase is not a reality, because the crystal vase is not affected by it. It's insignificant to the vase how you treat
to
it.
the vase.
To the vase. So this union that you're going to relate to it in a special way and so forth, this is the midas aspect. This is not a reality in itself. To recognize its value is a reality, is a sechel.
Mm-hmm.
For example, let's take it a step further. You have a crystal vase, real crystal. Then you have a glass vase that also looks like a crystal. Who will appreciate the difference between a real crystal or just a piece of glass that looks like a crystal? Only a human being will appreciate it. This genuine quality, this is a sechel element.
Mm-hmm.
They say, there is the custom jewelry. Custom jewelry can be very, very extensive, very beautiful. But I say many times, you give a Jewish woman, a Jewish girl, custom jewelry, she can't look at, she can't put it on. Only something jewelry. Give me something small but genuine. That's because of the sechel element. If you are on the appearance element, it's fine.
Custom jewelry.
What?
It's in custom jewelry.
Yeah.
Custom.
So the sechel, etzema sechel, is pnimi is le'atzmai. And that only exists by one who has a sechel. It cannot be explained. You cannot explain the difference on the practical level. Explain the difference between custom jewelry and genuine jewelry, real jewelry. What's the difference? It looks the same. And yet the pnimi is atzmis, and the chitzenis is not atzmis. It has no intrinsic value, atzmis. It has value only to the apparent, to decoration, but not an intrinsic value. And here is where we have to understand what Rebbe is saying. However, yet still, even though this is an atzmi and this is not an atzmi, the distinction between atzmi and not atzmi is categorical. It's real or it's not real. But yet still, very good mochin for this hour. Shêhachitzoniut hu pnimius. Behold, the chitzonius is chitzonius of the pnimius. It is only something that looks like real thing, but what is it trying to imitate? The real thing. Who invented, who gave you the means by which to create the chitzonius? Your knowledge of the pnimius. So the chitzonius is chitzonius of the pnimius. Right. So there is pnimius and there is chitzonius. Chitzonius is a chitzonius of the pnimius, a representative of the pnimius. It is the pnimius that identifies the chitzonius. Because this phenomenon that is chitzonius and pnimius, who that is true only bedover in such a thing she bekloluso hu bechinas haor labat. She beklolus that overall in a very general sense, all inclusive. It is a haora halabat, it is only a haora. Altogether it's a haora. Let us use the mashal that we used before. A piece of jewelry that is put on the body for decoration is a haora of the real thing.
What's the real thing?
It is known that a crown, a king's crown, was a beautiful piece of jewelry, a piece of a building. In this crown, there was a jewel, among other things which were decorative. And then there's one jewel. That one jewel is what identified the value, the intrinsic value of this crown. This was a unique piece that existed only one in the whole world, in this crown. And this is what uniquely identified, uniquely created value to this crown. To put a crown of metal on the head of a king doesn't fit. But because this had this unique element, it identified him as a king, identified him as this select human being that nobody else has anything like this. Then it made sense. And this unique identity is due to this one jewel. We all know this because of the mashal of the Magid about Chassidus. Right.
We're saying that every piece of jewelry is like the crown to a certain extent.
Every piece of jewelry, if it is genuine jewelry, has something unique about it. What's the difference between real jewelry and custom jewelry?
And
custom jewelry is mass-produced.
And therefore, it's pointing to the etzem of the individual.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. The chêhachitzoniut is chêhachitzoniut of the pnimi, which means it alludes to the pnimi.
It's funny that only women and kings get to wear jewelry.
What is the decoration of a man?
Tefillin, tzitzis.
What?
Tefillin, tzitzis. His wristwatch.
Maybe. I mean something that alludes, that represents an active individual with functional sechel. The Gemara says, "Le'nivris isha elo liyofi." Beauty, beauty is a woman's domain. Man is not made for that.
Right, but okay. But today, regarding the crown and jewelry, we're bringing out something deeper than superficial beauty. It's a simon of etzem. So it's interesting that.
But the etzem, that beauty is an essential thing by her. This is why she has these jewelry.
Okay, then you could ask why the king has beauty and not every man.
The king, yes. That's an interesting posik. Because a melech is a melech cannot be viewed from a functional perspective. Look how strong he is. Look how tall he is. Look what kind of sword he has. This is not what a melech is about. If we could put it in words, the yoifi of a melech is representing not the yoifi of the person, but the yoifi in an absolute sense. What is the meaning of beauty? All right. Excuse me.
Tiferes, it's
Huh?
glory. It's a kind of glory.
Beauty has no practical value. Since it has no, so therefore, what is the Indian that beauty is ascribed to a king? Who is identified by practical value? Somebody who is in a functional world. So he is identified by practical value, that he has everything, from a functional perspective, that he has everything that makes it comfortable for him to function. A melech is outside of that the identity. He's not identified by practical value. He's identified by an essential reality. He's the, so to speak, the crown jewel of the whole country. What is the country about? Not for its practical, but for its intrinsic value. This is why, by a melech, there is the union of beauty. Because beauty, in other words, alludes, he is not practically, he is not functionally identifiable. His garments go outside of the functional definition.
Not every person has this aspect.
Excuse me?
Not every person has this aspect.
Not every person has this aspect. Shabbos, for example, it says Shabbos you should wear long garments. What's the difference between short garments and long garments? Short garments are easy to maneuver, to work, to work with. Shabbos, you put on garments that interfere with your activity. You will have to walk slowly. Sometimes you even have to hold it up, going up the steps and all that. Because at that time, you are in a different. You're outside of the functional world. You're in the divine world. What's a divine world? Having said that, might as well take it a step further. Divine world is a world that is perfect in itself. Self-sustained completely. To put it in very practical terms, the table stands on 4 legs. The 4 legs holding it up. No. It stands because it has to stand. As a matter of fact, on Shabbos you hide the four legs. You put a tablecloth that completely conceals every practical aspect of the table. All you see on Shabbos is the the royal aspect, the human aspect, what it's about. Shabbos you will not eat on placemats. You don't have tablecloth. It covers the entire table. On Monday you'll eat on placemat. You're eating it and that's it. Shabbos it's a completely different thing. You got the point, I think, right? And let's go back to the beginning of the parentheses. The line begins Kuli. B'chol zeh, this entire perspective, view, that there is a chitzoniut and the pnimi, and the chitzoniut is chitzoniut from the pnimi. Who that is true only b'dovor in such a thing she b'klolusoi who bechinas haor levad. That overall, it is a bechina, it is only the aspect of a haor, it is not a real thing unto itself. It is a reflection of a real thing. Because in something that is a real atzmi, not just a reflection of the atzmi, but the real atzmi, there, reflect on these words. Even one section, one fraction of the etzem, who etzem mamash, is all etzem. There's no haora there. Let's understand the following thing we spoke about many times. A human being has two hands. Each hand has 5 fingers. And the fingers are designed in a certain way. There's practical aspects in these fingers, the way they function. But if Chas v'Sholom, a person has a damage in one of his fingers, in the pinkies, in the nails of the pinky, it's a blemish. The nail of the pinky is also etzem of the person, the fine that's of the person. A kohen who has a boom in the pinky, in the nail of the pinky, is possible nabed. Practically speaking, he's not affected because he's in a different category. Because his category is defined by the shleimus, by the divine design of what a human being is. Since it's a divine design, that's an etzem. Etzem, even the smallest fraction of it is also etzem. The reason a human being has 5 fingers is not only practical, because that's a fundamental design of a human being. Conceptual. It's a conceptual design, not a practical design.
na na